What's poppin', ladies and gentlemen? How's everyone doing? It's your boy Ivan. With me, as always, is my homie, it's DFX. And welcome to our very first, well, not our very first, but first in a while, prediction to the next death battle, which is Prince Zuko versus Toso Todoroki. Avatar versus My Hero Academia. Two firebenders with scars on their face and very fucking emo. Well, I don't know if I don't know if Tosho's emo, so I don't know.
His name is Shoto, not Tosho.
It's
It's Shoto.
Shoto.
It's Shoto Todoroki.
Shoto Todoroki.
No, not Todoroki. Fuck you. No, Shoto Todoroki. I like
Shoto
his name though,
Todoroki.
but it rolls off the tongue so like it's just like
Yeah, it does.
yeah, it's so nice, man. So yeah,
It
everybody,
really is.
this is definitely an interesting battle to say the least. I guess we're gonna start off with Zuko.
All right, so for those who didn't see, before we get into that, you want to talk about your experience with Avatar?
Oh yeah, that's right, everybody. By the way, I've never seen it, so I deliberately binged it this last week since the announcement of these two that are clashing. And I must say, I was really, really impressed with the show. I do understand it was catered to a younger audience, so I definitely didn't let that blind me over some of the ridiculously 1980s Ninja Turtles aspects parts. It seems like no one wants to harm anybody type of, like what the hell are they doing?
Yeah.
And there's some gripes I have about it. I was thinking about making a review about it. I don't know. That's not the time now. If you guys want to, definitely let me know. Let us know in the comments below. But overall, I loved it. Like, I'm actually watching The Legend of Korra right now. So, I'm not going to... I believe Death Battle... Okay, no one spoil it for me. I'm sure Zuko's got descendants or someone. I haven't seen it yet. Oh, I got that far. But I'm pretty sure that none of that's going to carry over in this fight, because you can't be using if hypothetically he's still alive, you can't use a 90-year-old man now versus a teenager. It's going to probably be the teenage, both from the respective timeline or frame-ish, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
but with that being said, loved it, really good, and I will keep repeating myself because I loved it so much and I got no better words to say right now, so let's just end that. I digress.
That's cool, man. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. So, but yeah, Prince Zuko, for those who don't know, he's pretty much he had pretty much a chip on his shoulder for the very first season of the BSL, because his whole thing was capturing the Avatar so he can bring honor back to his father, secure his place on the throne, because he is the prince. He was supposed to be the next in line for the Fire Lord. But how it happened was, he was pretty much hated throughout his childhood. His sister shit on him. His father shit on him. The only person he really had going for him was his own mother. But at some point, his mother just disappeared, and his father, he just became that mother that disappeared. She disappeared, and then there's an abusive father. And that's how he got the scar on his eye, because he challenged the general's plan to attack a Earth Kingdom village. And the father was like, "Fight me." He's like, "No," and he just burned the shit out of his face. He'd be like, "You want to come back to me? I'll find the Avatar." And so he kind of realized, you know what? I don't need my honor from you. I'm just gonna find my own honor. And that's when he joined Aang, became Aang's teacher in firebending, and pretty much ended the 100-year war essentially. Mm-hmm. But Zuko's incredibly powerful, and I'm sure my boy Nidge will give me some information about Shoto. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong again.
Yeah, Shoto.
But
that's pretty good.
Shoto, okay, good. So these a lot of these guys have in common. They both manipulate fire. They both have scars on their face, and this is going to be like you said, pretty interesting match.
Shoto now, as far as his background goes, that's probably why they were thinking this. They both got scarred. Actually, that scar was from his mother, though, not his dad, because she was ashamed of that side of his hair because it matched the color of his dad's hair. Someone could quote me on that. It's been a while. I'm very fresh with Avatar, but I'm also caught up on My Hero. So obviously, yeah, he's got the fire and he's got ice. So he's got two elements. It's almost like he's a half Avatar, so to speak. When you think about it from his side of things, and definitely trying to get father's affection. They have a way better relationship than Zuko's. I was about to say Deku. Deku, Zeku, Zoku, Goku. I mean, they're so close to names. It's yeah. I'm not saying, obviously, his relationship is the best, but it is nations apart. Pun intended. So, definitely go ahead and jump on those abilities.
So Zuko naturally is a firebender, so he's able to manipulate fire. Unlike the other benders in the Avatar universe, he doesn't need a source. If you're gonna count the movie, don't count the movie because that movie's garbage. But he can literally create his own fire. But he can literally create his own fire with his own chi, so he doesn't need a source. And as far as characters like him go, he has superhuman strength, physique. He has good senses. He's a very skilled in swordsmanship, very good at martial arts. He's very good at stealth mastery. He's good tracking, and obviously his firebending. And he's also known to actually redirect lightning, which is an ability he learned from his uncle by studying waterbenders. So, just in terms of speed, he can definitely react very fast to lightning. So he definitely scales to that because we've seen him during the Solar Eclipse arc where they were trying to invade the Fire Nation during the solar eclipse. Zuko actually managed to redirect his own father's lightning attack right at him. So that just goes to show that he's definitely lightning level reaction speeds. He's no joke in terms of reactions. So what about Tosho? How fast can he move?
Shoto, the fastest thing that I know of is probably going to be the whole... Because the advantage, of course, Shoto has is that he has a manga and an anime. Now, there was a thing where when he creates ice, he can do it in the speed of a blink of an eye. So I don't know exactly how fast the blink of an eye. Blink of an eye is 1/10 of a second, according to my trusty Google, and that would translate to Mach 1.81, which would be supersonic. So, with that being said, the speed, if lightning is definitely the factor, Zoku. Zeku.
Zuko.
Damn it! It really is, because, you watch all these back and forth, so, yeah, anyways, yeah, I don't know anything faster that he's done. There is a lightning guy, though, that is part of My Hero.
And for what it seems like, I'm just going to say Zuko is faster because he's dodged lightning, he's caught it and redirected, and he's done it a lot more reliably, whereas Shoto, as far as the information you told me, it doesn't seem like he hasn't done it as much. So therefore, whether he can actually match his speed is at best comparable, but at least doesn't quite match up to that. And at least that's what I think based on what you told me.
It really comes down to how he goes against Denkai Kaminari. Or Denki, I don't even remember his name. They call him like the Shock Man or Charge Bolt. So as far as his speed goes, they're gonna have to maybe Denki Kaminari if they could scale him with his lightning, but Shoto Todoromi never Jesus, Shoto Todoromi. God, you know what? Hero people have the fucking weirdest names. I swear to God. They just went full blown Asian, for real. And that's not a bad thing, but it's like, damn, man. Anyways, you know what? Going forward, his name is Icy Hot, okay? Because that's what even Rocket calls him. Sweaty Rocket Juice. Swamp Nuts. And sometimes I call him Swamp Nuts because that's his...
Pause.
Well, that's how he gets his power, from his sweat. That's it.
Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so speed. We're just gonna say Zuko just because he's proven to do it a lot more reliably. Where I don't know Shoto, we're just gonna have to wait what Death Battle thinks about that. So what we think right now, I think Zuko has the advantage in speed.
Yeah.
So now let's get to attack. Let's get to one of the more key elements: attack potency. How much power output can they do? And this is where things, I'm gonna tell you right now, kind of turn, for my opinion, in Shoto's favor. Because, well, to be fair, Zuko has shown quite a few attack potency at largest city block level at the very best. But even still, city block. When he's at it, but that's during when Sosa's comet kind of came, and that's already 100 years. So I highly doubt they're going to include that one because that's outside help. So he's not going to have that power output. But he's at best large building level where he's known for surviving a lot of explosions. Whether he collides with Aang bending, you see that giant blast, or an assassination attempt by Zhao when he actually survived a massive explosion that destroyed a whole ship. And he was strong, he was fast enough to not only react to the fire from that explosion, but to create a shield around it where he just managed to survive it. He's also capable of surviving attacks from Combustion Man. That's the big buff dude with the eye on his head, in case you don't remember. Yeah. But if he scales to that kind of power output, there's actually a little clip right here that I'm going to click on. According to the feats and the calculations, which is actually kind of cool that they're doing this right here. There's a rock right here because Aang is about 158 pixels high. The rock next to him is 405 pixels high, and based on the explosion, it was 304 pixels. and from where Aang was jumping from is about 14 pixels. That's equivalent to on a highball end, 20 tons of TNT.
Damn.
Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, that's probably the at best Zuko. That's probably without the comet too.
Mm-hmm.
But with the comet, because keep in mind the comet is said to be the power of 100 suns. So 20 times that 100, that's like 2,000 tons worth of power output. But again, I don't think they're going to include the comet in this one. So just based on what I'm seeing here, the fact that, um, well, this also goes into durability too because he survived explosions. But talking about his power output particularly, it's definitely large building level. But with the comet, definitely city block. But like I said, they're not going to include the comet because that's
Yeah.
outside help. It's not fair. And who's to
Yeah.
say that? And who's to say that because Shoto is also manipulates fire? Who's to say that the comet won't boost his power too? But to be fair, it's only in the Avatar universe where firebenders, get that power boost. This is just a conjecture. This is not going to matter in the fight. But even if they include the comet, will that boost Shoto's power as well?
Well,
That's just
the problem there is that Death Battle is I don't want to say notorious, but in the past, like the last battle, for instance, they assumed Beerus had a crystal in him. When they asked, there was a lot of Q&A after that from Beerus versus Galaxia. They're like,
mm-hmm.
why did you give Beerus a crystal? And they're like, oh, well, we kind of just assumed it. And they backed up their assuming with their claims, whether you agree with it or not. This is just them saying this. I'm quoting them, half-ass quoting, but that's kind of why they... to me, I thought they would just say, oh, well, it's animation purposes, get over it, right? Like, that's it. But they said
Yeah.
that. So, and they said that the reason why he would have a crystal... Here's the key element, is that all life has this or something. So we should assume that even in another anime, such as the Dragon Ball universe, they all should technically have this crystal, even though if they don't know about it. And to me, that goes back for Guy, or who fought Obi-Wan Kenobi? It was
Kakashi.
Kakashi. So I was like, if that's the case, then why wasn't the Force in, remember the Force is in everything. That's what Star Wars says. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The Force is in everything. Like that's like the main like thing about Star Wars. So if that's the case, and then it would be in Chi. So why couldn't I'm going off the rails, but see, my point is though is
Yeah.
that like, are they this time going to contradict themselves, or are they going to stick with the Beerus Galaxia opinion, or are they going to go back to the oh no that doesn't count? There's no Force in Naruto's universe. You know what I'm saying? And like,
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
well, what is it? Like, because they even said themselves, they're like, oh, just like Chi is in every universe. And I'm like, so it's one of those things. Like, we're gonna have to see how they perceive this.
At his best, he can definitely survive an he can definitely, his fire bending at full power is definitely equivalent to Combustion Man's explosive bending with his eye, which, like I said, according to the scale I saw here, was about 20 tons of TNT. But we also have to keep in mind the range, how far they can shoot their fire, because firebending they only have a set range that the fire actually goes, depending on how much power they put into it. They put a lot more focused power, it's going to travel a bit further, but then eventually fizzles out. And also we need to consider here, he's resistant to fire, but he's not immune to it either. He can take it, he can manipulate it. The only question is, I mean, because we obviously know he can't resist it because look at his scar. The scar on his face shows it. He can still get burned. He can still be burnt to a crisp. My question for Zuko is, can he reliably counter that power difference of Shoto's power? Because I've seen Shoto expel a lot of power when he shoots fire. So my thing is, even though he can barely resist it, could he take that force just enough to deflect it back at him?
Obviously, we know one of his greatest feats was when they were at that little tournament, and he did like that glacier lift, and he like went outside of the stadium.
Yeah.
Like he literally like messed up the whole ground that they battled on, and it went up above the stadium. And of course, I'm sure Death Battle will know how many people were seated in the stadium or how big it was. That was way more ice power than honestly even the Avatar. Like,
yeah,
that's what I'm seeing. The ice is way more impressive. He hasn't really touched his fire side much because he is so he of course him and his father struggle for he hates his dad because his dad's like got the super tough love. He's got the Vegeta thing going on, whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's to the point where Icy Hot doesn't even try to learn fire. He just now started learning fire. So he's going to be at a huge disadvantage as far as the fire, but his ice output is just enormous.
The power he can generate with his ice is pretty huge. Like, you need to be at least somewhere around the Avatar state to be able to, get to that level of ice power. Like, to be fair, even I've seen normal water benders, lift massive things of ice. Those massive things of ice, you have to have a few water benders to do it. You have to be at least a few water benders or Avatar to really get that kind of ice. And we've seen like avatars can start a volcanic eruption. So there's no doubt they can create ice. He can create ice that big, the Avatar rather. So it all depends on, because Zuko has fought ice, waterbenders who can manipulate ice before, but to this power level, could he withstand it, or could at least react to it enough that he can get out the way of it? I don't know, but
I'm gonna say no right away, because when Avatar went into the ice form, remember he like did that spirit where he was like Godzilla walking around smacking everything. He took out like everybody, and clearly Zuko he knew right away there's no way he was gonna take. He got out of there. Remember, he escaped because shit just went down, and I'm gonna say the power is gonna go to Icy Hot. Honestly, I just don't see it any other way.